The Walt Disney Company is losing yet again when it comes to Florida. Mickey Mouse is not having so much fun trying to find a judge that will be sympathetic. Despite a number of attempts by the Disney Company to maneuver their way into friendly territory, they are finding that the Sunshine State is not such a place for them. That perhaps has something to do with them becoming a political company and taking on the political hierarchy that exists there. Shocker, entertainment companies, when diving into those sorts of waters, may just have a hard time staying afloat. All right, folks, welcome back to another wonderful day here on the WDW Pro channel. So excited to have each and every one of you as we dive into an issue that has relations with politics, clearly. We're not a political channel. That said, when politics and entertainment intersect, we must go there. We also try very hard not to be political in terms of being partisan. So when we cover these topics, we try to give both sides as best we can. The problem for Disney is, well, there's not a very obvious winning hand here to be had. Disney is attempting something that requires significant legal theory, and we're talking about way out there theory, to come to fruition for the company and be approved that would change precedent across the country. And so that just doesn't seem to us to be a strategy that works. More likely it is that the company is looking to run out the clock on Governor Ron DeSantis and hope that they get a friendlier governor coming in who will treat them in a nicer way. We're not making a judgment whether or not they deserve that. We're just putting that out there. Now, joining me to talk about this topic is Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for thatparkplace.com. Also has a fantastic YouTube channel. If you're not yet subscribed to his content, I suggest that you go over there and do so. Jonas, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for the kind words. I always love being on this channel more than I love being on my own channel. I love being on this one.
Well, you are the producer for the Pro Show, so you are inclined to be here, I would say.
Oh yes. When my overlords call, even if it's not for pay, I'm happy to do the work, sir.
All right, Jonas, we are talking today, of course, about this issue, the latest round of Disney not finding much success in Florida. And I know that you have been hot on the heels of this in ways that we really can't talk about. But as the investigative reporter for That Park Place, you have had a number of early bits of knowledge about what's going on. And in fact, you've also had the opportunity to know what some major players behind the scenes are thinking about all of this. We can't go into that with specificity at this time, but just know that probably does impact how we're viewing this particular topic. I want to read this article out of CNN Politics and then get your take on all of it, of course.
Well, before you say that, I will say that I do have some extra information that I can share here in this video. So
okay, so hang tight, folks. We will get to that. This is going to be exclusive information out of Jonas J. Campbell, given the contacts that he has achieved. And we have said in the past, I used to be quite pleased with myself. Maybe that was maybe a little sinful thought there, but I was pleased with the number of contacts I was able to acquire. Jonas comes on the scene and just astounds in the people that he's able to make touch with and become friendly with and gain information. So positive on all of that. Now, folks, as we get ready to read this article, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. By Rebecca Rice and Steve Cotorno, judge in Disney's case against DeSantis disqualifies himself and accuses governor's legal team of rank judge shopping. Not a criticism that you often hear out of judges, but nevertheless, there it is. All right, here's what it says. A federal judge who was presiding over the Walt Disney Parks and Resorts case against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Thursday disqualified himself from further participation in the case, citing a third-degree relative with stocks in the company, according to the order on disqualification. Chief Judge Mark E. Walker, who was appointed to the bench by President Barack Obama, has ruled against a handful of DeSantis' priorities in his initial assignment to the case, was widely viewed as an early victory for Disney, but not by us. That's what's so funny. If you followed those who were widely viewing this as a victory, then you were not getting the truth. And here's what I think is actually going on, Jonas. Let's just explain this, because we're always trying to explain entertainment, keep people ahead of the culture curve. In my assessment, this judge looked at this case and said, Disney is attempting to claim that they can prescribe to themselves government powers through homeowners association covenants. I don't want to touch this. I would like to leave this case. That's what I think happened. And I think that Judge Walker, the Honorable Judge Walker, looked for any way in this world to get out of this one. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's accurate. And I also think that there was probably a lot of scrutiny that was going to be put on Judge Walker here, because the motion to dismiss, while Walker clearly states that he thinks that the motion is without merit, as many lawyers would say, they like to state their case as fervently as possible, maybe even overstepping a little bit in the language that they use to say how outrageous the other side is. Walker was probably going to have a difficult row to hoe here, as I believe that he would have to go before 2 other judges to be removed from the case, and that would be a long, painful process. And maybe he just didn't want to deal with the hassle of all of that, because I think the DeSantis motion, having read it, I think they had something solid there.
And let's go into the weeds for a moment. That's why people come to this channel. They want to know what is not said out loud by the mainstream media. CNN, of course, part of that mainstream media. The key thing to know here, folks, is that this judge disqualified himself without hearing. And so that goes to a whole new level of trying to escape from this situation. But again, Disney put him in just an untenable spot. If you think about it, nobody wants to be presiding over essentially their friends, right? Disney is probably on the same side as this judge. Nobody wants to be presiding over their friends and look at the case and go, "You got to be kidding me!" Like, I can't. This would change the precedent across the country, and that's really what these outlets don't talk about, is just
Right.
how phenomenally this would affect, land laws, ownership of land and property laws, real estate laws, all over the United States.
Yes, and for those who are not following the situation, the statements that were made by the judge in other cases, he volunteered that that Disney was being attacked for being woke. So he was offering opinions that had no relevance to the cases that he was on, and showed a bias against Disney and, a bias against DeSantis and his current conflict with Disney. So there was a clear case of bias, and from a legal standpoint, as Andrew from the legal mindset likes to say, the law is so prejudiced against bias that the standard is so low that there's almost no way that this would not have gone in DeSantis's favor, this motion to dismiss.
Exactly. Continuing on in the article, Disney filed a lawsuit in April accusing the Republican 2024 presidential prospect of weaponizing his political power to punish the company for exercising its free speech rights when it objected to a state law restricting instruction of sexual orientation and gender identity in schools. Oh, CNN, go ahead and say it. It's preschool through 4th grade, and it says you can't teach about bedroom issues there. Come on, just say it explicitly. DeSantis orchestrated a state takeover of a special taxing district in Central Florida that Disney had controlled for more than a half century as it built its theme park empire near Orlando. And you got to love CNN. They don't understand the issue well enough. They're screwing over Disney, because that's the whole argument here. If Disney actually did control this government entity, this special district that's supposed to be a separate, independent government, if Disney was cooking the books and fraudulently controlling this special district, Disney's in a lot of hot water. And here CNN just comes out and flat out says it, because they don't know that, we're supposed to keep that quiet.
And CNN isn't the only outlet to misunderstand this or factually misrepresent it. I've thrown it in the private chat. I don't know if you already have the link to it, but the Variety headline reads, Disney DeSantis lawsuit transferred from Obama judge to Trump appointee. Those are 2 judges with the exact same position and were put into the process in the same form of a process. But when it's one political party, it's an Obama judge. But when it's a Trump guy, it's a Trump appointee trying to throw some illegitimacy onto the new judge. There's a lot of bias here in trying to spin a particular narrative, even though they obviously have everything they need to say exactly what's going on without the spin.
And again, folks, what we're talking about here is one of 2 major issues that has tremendous impact on the Walt Disney Company, tremendous impact on entertainment at large. The Walt Disney Company, when it comes to buying Hulu, they're faced with an entity that is $70 billion in valuation from Comcast. That's a major issue because Disney has to buy that, and they simply seem to not have the money if analytics from Mexican Iron Man are to be believed. This other issue is that this is perhaps hundreds of billions of dollars on the line over this Walt Disney World situation. If the Disney company comes under the heel of government, as all other companies around the world are, if Disney suddenly has to pay their fair share of taxes and they have to follow all the protocols and procedures that every other company in Florida does, well, over the years, over the decades, you're talking about potentially even $1 trillion that Disney did not have to spend until they put themselves into this situation. All right, so the article continues. In the order, Walker initially denied the governor's legal team's motion to disqualify him from presiding over the case. DeSantis attorneys had argued that questions Walker asked in previous related cases, as you said, Jonas, raised substantial doubts about the judge's impartiality. Defendant's motion is without merit. My use of hypothetical questions referencing facts related to this case in an earlier case, also dealing with the motivations of political actors, including some of the same actors here, cannot raise a substantial doubt about my impartiality in the mind of a fully informed, disinterested layperson, Walker wrote. Now, by the way, this is why when we say that Walker probably decided it was time to exit when he saw the details, that's why I think that's true. He seemed eager to be over this one. The problem being, I think once he saw the details, the specificity of what Disney was alleging, that he said, "You got to be kidding. No, I'm out." So let me read this last paragraph, and then we'll, Jonas, I'm interested in your take and that exclusive information, which we've been touting from you. Here's what it says. The case has now been reassigned to Judge Alan C. Winsor for all further proceedings. I am confident that my colleagues on this court can preside over the remainder of this case and judge it fairly and wisely, Walker wrote, which would be, by the way, counter to the media narrative that I am sure they are fomenting at this very moment. But Jonas, what is this exclusivity that you can bring to the video that nobody else knows?
Well, first of all, let me say that I don't think there's a legal standard for a third-degree relative. I spoke to a lawyer, and they have no idea what that means. If that means a grandfather, if that means a third cousin. It's also not reported here in CNN Politics, but word on the street is we're talking about 30 shares of Disney stock. That is,
which is in the grand scheme of things minuscule for this sort of a connection.
Yes, a matter of less than $3,000 held by your cousin's ex-roommate,
right? From your mother's brother's child's uncle on the other side of the family's cousin. I mean, you could keep going, right? That's sort of the distance put in between this.
So let's talk about Judge Windsor, who is now the new judge presiding over this. Disney is in a tough spot here because Disney can't do a motion to disqualify, or they could try to do a motion to disqualify against Windsor. But I do believe Windsor was the person who ruled in DeSantis's favor on the HB 1552 or whatever the number is, the parental rights in education, the very thing that started this whole process here with DeSantis and Disney. So he's a Trump appointee. So already politically, he's let's say he's going to be less biased against DeSantis. And also he's a member of the Federalist Society.
Oh my gosh. Disney has it in front of a Federalist judge?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's it. That's just it.
In addition, if Disney was somehow to disqualify this judge, it would go to the Pensacola is the one in Florida. It would go to the Pensacola district, and I do believe the judge's name is Weatherall. And the word that I heard from my source is DeSantis's folks would not mind that at all, and it would not be in Disney's favor.
You know, the funny thing here is that Disney tried this very nebulous, avant-garde attempt at claiming that, one, they were damaged via their own political speech by the state government governing a special district that's supposed to be completely independent of Disney. And then two, they attempted to, through that special district to grant Disney government quasi powers via homeowners association covenant laws in Florida. All of that I thought was just a bunch of buffoonery that was intended to muck up the system. And now Disney and Iger and all of these people who have put this company in just such a terrible position, they are now going in front of a judge who you say is part of the Federalists, that being the people who are most strongly tied to original constitutionalism, the idea that you stick strictly to what the law says exactly as the lawmakers intended it. And Disney is now going to be, I suppose, stuck trying to argue that this judge should make a ruling that would transform property rights all over the country. I cannot imagine a worse place for Disney, and they have earned it. We're not political here. We'll cover blue states, red states, purple states, all as best we can, just telling the truth. This entire paradigm would be shifted if this was in California. But the problem for Disney is there is no win to be found. And honestly, this is just my opinion. They should raise the white flag and do whatever it takes to get the best deal they can at this point. This is getting into masochism at this point. Jonas, final thoughts.
Let me just throw this in here. Disney has it pretty good if they just say, okay, sorry, withdrawn, moving away. They have the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District is not actually looking to harm Disney. They want economic prosperity for Disney as long as they're not trying to play by their own rules. This is a pretty fair setup, what they've got here. The SIFTOD situation was made so that Orange County could not step in and just give Disney all of this power again. But at the same time, you have, let's say they're all Republicans. I don't know that they're all Republicans on there. By the way, the new guy that replaced the guy that stepped out from SIFTOD, also Federalist Society fellow. So that's just a footnote for everybody here. Disney has already got a good system in place. They're they're threatening them with a good time. There is no reason for them to fight this, except that they want unlimited power again. Disney is being greedy. They just need to stop whining, stop threatening to get their dad involved, and just accept that the game has changed. We're not playing basketball. We're going to play baseball today. And just have fun. Guys, get past this. It makes you all look bad. Just move on. Enjoy what you've got, which is a great theme park that needs to focus on doing good things. Also, let me just point out, we can throw this in here as a members bonus separate from all of this. It's fascinating to watch some of our compatriots that are more in the pixie dust phase, the I love churros, and here's where you get the best churros at Disney crowd. They are obviously really struggling here to deal with local politics, a thing that they have no depth in. Guys, if you're going to do political analysis on your dining blog, you need to do more research before you get in here. You can cut that all out if you want, Pro.
We're keeping it. And let me say this too, folks. It is interesting to me to watch this be sort of a complete opposite shift in how politics normally works. So normally you would expect individuals on the left to be against the greedy corporations, right? And that has sort of shifted in the recent past. And so now you have Disney, who had a sweetheart deal, right? They had an advantage over every single competitor out there. They had the Vatican City in Central Florida. They decided to enter the political arena. They were struck from having that power, which was granted to an independent government special district that Disney was running by proxy. And now Disney is beholden to all the same rules as everyone else. Normally, that would be a win for those on the left. It is not at this point, because everything has sort of been reversed. The other thing about this that I want to give you a shout out, Jonas. You've done a phenomenal job, and that is my understanding that we covered the issue of Disney not wanting to pay to have a pedestrian bridge put in place so that military families could continue to do what they've done for decades, which is walk from the military resort at Disney World called Shades of Green to the Polynesian resort and get on the monorail. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge advantage for military families. Disney has been doing some road work and decided that did not need to exist any longer. They were not willing, as part of their road work to include that pedestrian bridge any longer. And so my understanding is that through you, our coverage of that has went to the leaders in Florida, the leaders over the Central Florida Tourism Board that now governs the Walt Disney World Resort, and that hopefully and happily we are optimistic that that pedestrian bridge could be put in place as part of the infrastructure of the resort at large. And so I want to thank you, Jonas, for working to put that into the hands of those who can make those sorts of decisions.
Well, I appreciate that, but I also have to put that to one of our, I believe Reply by Mail is one of our channel members that put that specifically in our attention. And it was very easy for me to pass on that information to some people and these people, I think it's pretty easy to get in touch with them if you just want to send them the information. But I can confirm that the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District is specifically aware of what we have talked about.
Fantastic. And folks, we're not trying to be political on here. I mean, honestly and truly, when we delve into these sorts of things, we want to stick with the philosophical. There are some places that I think that there have been some mistakes on Florida's side. And in particular, when they were doing the monorail inspections, there's some language in the monorail inspections, although I believe they should do monorail inspections. There's some language in there that opens the door to perhaps punitive actions where guests may not be able to use the monorail for extended periods of time. And that should have been tightened up. That kind of language just needs a little bit more attention put to it. But, we try to cover things fairly. We don't want to be the kind of place that you go to get partisan sorts of news. And we just want to cover this as truthfully and honestly as we can. When this lands in purple states and red states blue states one day, then we'll be covering it, I suppose, in the opposite direction, because we'll be trying to continue to tell the truth in places that hold very different viewpoints.
Agreed.
So, folks,
when
Jonas,
I'll just throw out that when there was an HOA issue with the Universal Park that's being built over in Texas, we did cover that. Absolutely.
Jonas, final thoughts, and tell us where we can find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there.
Oh, I think I've given plenty of thoughts in this video. I think it's a great time for all of us to move on. And by all of us, I mean all of the people who are suing each other here to just move on, accept the status quo. It's a pretty good status quo that we've got right now. We can all stop making ourselves into political punching bags for no good reason here. Focus on running your business well, which is the only thing that's going to get you out of the financial straits that you're in now. And we can keep moving forward and keep having fun.
There you go.
Sorry,
Stealing
I stole your
the final line. I know what you're up to over there, Jonas. And I would say to Disney, it sucks that you lost this special privileged position that no other company had. I don't care how the media spins it. You could build your own airport. You could build your own nuclear power plant.
You could steal other people's land.
That's how, yes. You had eminent domain powers, which is what Jonas is referring to. It sucks that you lost it. But it's time to stop. You're not going to get that back. There's no winning strategy here. And there's no reason to dig this hole deeper. You're going to create resentment in Florida for you in this unwinnable case where now you have to play by the same rules as all others. It sucks that the hill that you died on had to do with the type of curriculum taught in official state schools for preschoolers through fourth graders in terms of bedroom issues. But that's done. And you lost on that one too. And that sucks. Stop listening to the heavy dosage pixie dusters. They're not going to lead you to the promised land. They're going to leave you destitute at this point, Mickey. And that's what we've got for you. Well, folks, we hope that this explained the issue at a high resolution where everyone can understand it. It is our job to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve, and to do so in a nonpartisan way. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to those algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. The conversation between Jonas and myself has come to an end, but that just means the dialogue with all of you begins. Please drop a comment down below. We covet your comments. We care about what you think. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing. And Jonas, how does it go?
Keep having fun.
Say it ain't so. This just in. Disney lost money on another movie. Why, that can't be. I thought that John Lasseter fella over at Pixar was cranking out the latest hits, and Marvel was unstoppable, and Disney princesses were a thing, and Star Wars was a multi-billion-dollar money-making franchise.
I overheard you talking about Disney and wanted to let you know you're really behind the ball. If you were getting great articles from thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel, you'd actually be ahead of the culture curve and have entertainment explained.